Good morning, students. Here, the topic is interrelationship between economics and education. This topic's objectives are short term and which we have to fulfill the near future or in a specific time period. Wesley and Vrosky says the function of the objectives is to point out the ways to indicate ideal and to present challenges. In CV Good, objective is a standard or goal to be achieved by the people when the work in the school activities is completed. In this topic's introduction is relation between education and economics. And although experts can agree that pattern have shifted from a labor based economy to a knowledge based one. There is no magic wand to predict how that future will look. And the United States economy has experienced symptoms of the changes that need to be made in education. And the trick is to achieve a balanced mix of fortifying, positive, and effective changes in education. In the knowledge based economy, while the movement towards a settlement in the knowledge based economy becomes more concentrate entrenched. And the next is the overlapping issues in education and economics. Europe is trying to create high skill economies, and that issues around younger people's educational cause stakeholders to perceives that the current academic agenda does not support an improvement pertaining to either occupational aptitude or mitigating struggles to resolve issues. In this overlapping, however, it's this complex issues cannot so neatly be broken down into isolate com- compartments. The approach herein shall revolve around five basic issues, which obviously have some overlap in the worlds of economics and education. The wor- and the area of the commentary looks at the areas of economic theory. Practice in term of human capital and the party pre-preparation or transformation of education and the competition and today's young people as an implication of their education and knowledge based economy. And the overview obviously there has always been the a form of a knowledge based element to even the industrial or manufacturing labor based economic situations which dominated past decades when the existence of a knowledge based economy. And the next is what characterized a working definition of a knowledge based economy. And this is to discuss how to define exactly what a knowledge based economy is calls for the inclusion of maintaining the economic good. And from an economics standpoint, the importance of measuring the knowledge economy and the obviously there has always been a form of knowledge based element to even the industrial or manufacturing labor based economic situations which dominated past decades when the existence of a knowledge based economy is promulgated. And the next is education is paramount. Perhaps one way to clear convey the situation by utilization of economics as a discipline which recognize the importance of measuring the knowledge based economy. According to the article, the missing middle, ele- elegant education, and the knowledge economy. Ill educated workers are increasingly left behind in attainment of better paying job opportunities, displaying a stagnating effect on the growth of the job market in the US. It reveals that 6 out of 10 jobs were held by university educated laborers and that correspondingly the wage premium increase for such workers has increased by some 70% since the 1980s. And the role of economy. What might this mean in terms of competitiveness for the United States as the compared to other countries? The answer are clear, especially when you consider literacy as a baseline from which to build economic growth in a fast changing globalized economy. And the role of economic theory is one thing, but carefully recorded statistical data presented in scholarly economic writing is not arguable, placing the need for more comprehensive remedies to occur in the practical realm of human capital. And the next point we see a knowledge based economy. Although economic growth has enjoyed some level of sustainability, there is a new burgeoning and emergent phase triggering challenges to the new global marketplace that ties directly into the notation of a knowledge based economy. And as such, this newly entrenched economy has an awareness of the new knowledge based economy functioning in terms of internet transmission, management of information, communication growth of technology in society, and automation of service and manufacturing process. These are the knowledge based economy. And the next is human capital. Human capital in economics, they related that measuring these human capital growth dynamics requires an extended scope of research, which one may take to be a reflection of their idea. So, long term macro modeling, in any case, they claim that a mere comparison of employees with the higher education does not paint the entire picture accurately. And the human capital, this makes sense as some non degree holding youths are highly effective users of technology oriented skill sets despite not pursuing higher education as they cannot cope with the increasing cost involved. This suggests that human capital can be shown as a weighted sum of persons who are active contribution to the economy. This is the human capital in economics. And the next is transforming education in knowledge based economies. There are many implications and elemental components to the concept of what preparations and transformations need to be addressed, what are being addressed, and in which jurisdictional authorities they may lay under the auspices of then the rather than to take too broadly an approach is to approach a possible position higher education might take in terms of the knowledge based economy and an overview of how business and university relations cannot connect to the new knowledge based economy. And one peer reviewed journal article entitled Positioning Higher Education for the Knowledge Based Economy. In that economic in this picture, the social economic development, industrialization, urbanization, open class system, large middle class, education, wealth, these are the socio-economic development. And the open class system, large middle class, these are the two types, democratic transition and the democratic stability. These are the system of economic development of society and social. And the this picture, the next is the economic return to investment in education. The economic growth per capita in the Middle East and North African region has been fairly low due to high population growth rates and the dependence on oil exports while the oil prices remained low. Low, it is not expected to see a link between the MENA region and between invest in human capital and economic growth. And this growth, the positive relationship between economic and education. In economic growth is that individuals were willing to take more years of schooling to be able to earn more and get better job. And the economic returns that the disaggregate education data and growth. And the table shows a brief detail of the education and growth connection in the MENA region with chosen indicators of education and per capita annual GDP growth rate for the MENA countries, not including Iraq due to lack of information. In these information, the obviously the countries in the MENA region vary in terms of formation of the economic foundation and the historical background of their economic development. In other words, it is not homogeneous in terms of determinants that may have a effect an effect on the economic growth and performance. And the next is the education growth in Egypt. Around the world, education promotes economic growth and ensure sustainable growth and poverty reduction from the developing countries. Egypt seems to be in a good position to gain from impartial education growth with its continuous investment in public education. And the public education, however, the Egyptian economy has not realized any qualifiable economic return to its continuous public investment in education. Furthermore, the allocation of the public sending on education is not efficient enough. Consequently, the poor and middle class people to fall behind in education. These are the growth of education. And the next picture, visual literacy. In the visual literacies, children live in very visual world, but builds on children's home experiences, and the classroom technology allows access to a huge range of visuals. And the next, excellent teaching medium for visual and kinetic learners, and the supports EAL children's in understanding. And the next, very effective for developing boys writing and depends children's understanding of texts. And these are the, we see the visual literacy system. And the this system, we see the next is the growth effect of e- education in the OECD. OECD. OECD is that the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. This is the full form of OECD. OECD countries, 20 countries originally signed the Conversation on the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development on 14th 1960. Since then, a further 10 countries have become members of the organization. And education is a key to economic growth and to people's ability to earn a living. And the this growth is education is important for societies. Important for societies too, as they respond to increasing cultural and ethnic diversity, inequality, and the need of disadvantaged people. OECD's Education Dir- Directorate works to help countries promote learning opportunities for all. And the next point is the relationship between education and economy of different countries. There is a close relationship between education and economy. And according to functionalists, It is the needs of economic system, industrialism, which shape the educational system, and on the other hand, followers of conflict model, Blows and Ginnett's 1976, and others argued that the education system reflects the organization of production in a capitalist society. In this relation between, there is a correspondence between the nature of work and the nature of schooling. Capitalist societies are char- characterized by persistent inequality and by relationship of subordination and domination between social classes. And this relationship, the next is the economic growth. The economic growth, the real GDP, is taken as a measure of economic growth of SCARC, SARC countries. SARC countries, this proxy has been used by GDP. GDP is the market value of all final goods and services produced during a year within the geographical boundaries of a nation. It does not include the income earned by resources in foreign countries, but includes the income of foreigners working in an economy. In the growth of economy, the education is provide very high, and the education, the activities of getting or acquiring general knowledge, learning process of basics skills such as mathematics, geography, and also developing elementary understanding of some other subjects. Example, history, natural sciences, social social science, arts, and Arabic, developing reasoning and judgmental mental power, and preparing oneself or others intellectually for mature life. This is the education in the education system. And school enrollment, primary school enrollment, secondary and school enrollment tertiary has been taken as a proxy for primary. In secondary and tertiary education, respectively, the relationship between education and the GDP is positive introduction, and the education is the positive response cultures are preserved or transformed due to educational systems that are educated in an educational style will behave corresponding to the educational goals introduced by the educational system, and this creating the social capital. And the social capital is an instandard informal norm that promotes cooperation between two or more individuals. And the norm of the constitute social capital can range from a norm of res- reciprocity between two friends all the way up to complex and elaborately articulated doctrines like Christianity or Confucianism is or and the this picture education is higher literacy and educate equitable society and higher research capability and higher quality demographic dividend and population control, growth of institutions, and increased inflow of foreign investment and equitable society. And this picture, these are the all educations in the society, and the introduction is cultures are preserved on transformed due to educational systems. People that are educated in the educational style will behave corresponding to the educational goals included in, in induced by the educational system, this creating a social capital. And the next picture show the economic growth and the economic growth, the mobilization social mobilization uh, urbanization, industrialization, modernization, and the social mobilization, the political culture compromise as common political culture, active potential political participation, value such as equality, modernization. And these are the social structure like rise of workers and middle class, old classes, losing power, emergence of civil society. And all of these are democracy. These are the democracy. And this picture shows the economic growth. Economic growth and economic, of course, the ultimate scarce resources is time. Everyone, rich or poor, has just 24 hours in the day to try to acquire the goods they want. At any point in time, there is only a finite amount of resources available. Think about it this way. In 2015, the labor force in the United States contained over 158.6 million workers, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. Similarly, the total area of the United States is the 3 lakh 37 lakh 94,101 square million square miles. These are large number of such crucial resources. However, they are limited because these resources are limited. So are the number of goods and services we produce with them. Combine this with the fact number of wants seem to be virtually infinite, and you see if you still do not believe that scarcity is a problem. And the problem is, does everyone need food to eat? Does everyone need a decent place to live? Does everyone have access to health care? And in every country in the world, there are people who are hungry, homeless. For example, those who call park bench their beds, and the just to focus on a few critical goods and services. These are the economics importance in our democratic lives. And the next is the a complex problem, a relationship between educational system and the economy. is very strong in the economy. The educational and cultural qualities obtained by education will transform economical values. We can observe this situation in every culture, and we study the education enriched in school is only a constitution of familiar familiar education and has the tendency to preserve the local values and the local culture. Relationships between familiar structure and familial education, local culture, and economic systems are studied by many economic philosophies. And these all about the topic inter interrelationship between economics and education. And the next, the last of the topic, some references there. These are love of wisdom, love of knowledge, love of truth, love of God. What is the answer? The answer of this question is love of wisdom. And the next question, the word philosophy comes from the word philosophia, which is Latin word, Greek word, Celtic word, Roman word. The answer of this question is Greek word. And the next question, the nature of philosophy can be explained as critical, synthetic, comprehensive, all of the above. And education is the dynamic side of. The nature of philosophy can be explained as what is the answer? The answer of this question is all of the above. And the next question, education is the dynamic side of. Which side? Psychology, sociology, philosophy, and literature. The education is the dynamic side is philosophy. Philosophy is the dynamic side of education. And the next question is there is interreaction between philosophy and education. Either without the other is incomplete and unserviceable and complete and whole, functional and efficient and purposeful. The answer of this question is incomplete and unserviceable. This is the answer of this question. And the next question, philosophy asks and answers various questions pertaining to the whole field of. physical science, education, environment, and sociology? The answer of this question is education. And the next question is, all great philosophers of the world have also been great leaders, great speaker, great educators, and great healers. The answer of this question is great educators. The great educators are the great philosopher of the world. And educational evaluation, primary education, concept of education, problems of education. The answer of this question is problems of education. And the and the next question, the scope of philosophy of education is formed by the belief of the society, the educational values, and the political principles and values of the people. And uh, what is the answer? The answer of this question is the educational values. The scope of philosophy of education is formed by the educational values in the education system. And the next question, aims of education. Aims of education are relative to aim of religion, aim of teacher, aim of life, and the aim of government. The aim of life is the right answer of this question. The aim of life is relative to the aim of education. This is the answer of this question. That's all question and all about the topic of interrelationship between economics and education. And the end of this topic. Thank you.